Last year about this time, I was on a tree planting spree around my property. Put in 15, 20 different trees, all different kinds, all over the property. And I then held my breath in anticipation to see whether or not they would all that they would take root, that they would survive the winter, that their roots would extend down enough to bring forth life in the spring. Lo and behold, as winter turned into spring, as the thaw came, one by one, each of those trees began to bud and to flower until leaves began popping out. And I was so excited, except for this one tree. This one tree just sat in his stark winter barrenness and refused to bloom. I would inspect it every day. I would go up to it, I would pull out my pocket knife, I would even carve a little bit in to see whether or not there was a little bit of life, a little bit of green in there. And yet, even though I thought I saw a little life, nothing happened for a long time. All the other trees were in full bloom and flower, and this one tree still stood stark and empty. Until one day, I approached the tree and noticed a single bud. Just one over all the branches that were barren and empty, just one bud on one branch, a single sign of the life that was moving inside of it. And right then I knew I didn't have to go and check that tree anymore. Right then I knew that that tree had made it through the long winter. It experienced an extended winter that went all the way into spring, even after everyone else was in full bloom. But because of that one last bud, I knew that the tree would come into fullness of flower. It brought what the hymnist of O Holy Night called a thrill of hope. That thrill of hope that says what will be has not yet been realized. Oh, but it's coming. It's in there. The smallest sign indicating of a greater truth that is going to come to pass. And it gives you a thrill of hope, a promise of life that is to come. My name's Ryan Barnett. I'm the lead pastor at First Methodist Waco. And today I want to talk about why we in this weary world rejoice. What it is that gives us that thrill of hope even in the midst of so much darkness, so much pain, so much grief and heartbreak, so much loss. The thrill of hope. A single bud that offers the promise of a life that will flower and live and thrive and grow. That life is found in the birth of Jesus Christ, the Christmas miracle, the Savior of the world whose presence we are waiting for, longing for, preparing for during this Advent season. The prophet Isaiah once said, "The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned." In Isaiah's day, that darkness was a foreign oppression, an invading army that had subdued their way of life, that had restricted their freedoms, who kept their hand over top of them. We know too a little bit, not the same, but a little bit of what that might have felt like for them. We ourselves have been the victims of a foreign invader, not a marching army, but a minuscule virus that has changed the way all of us experience this life. Our travel has been restricted. We are constantly tuning in online and in the airwaves to find out which restaurants are open and what capacity. We wait in anticipation to hear from our employers whether or not they're going to be able to continue our employment. Some of us lost our employment a long time ago, and now what we hold our breath is wondering whether or not this pandemic will end in time before our savings run out and we lose our homes. Like the first people who heard it, I realize many of you are living in the land of deep darkness. The stark barrenness of a winter that began last March and will not seem to end. I'm aware that this Thanksgiving, many of you had empty seats at your Thanksgiving table because you had lost loved ones that should be in those seats. And it's a deep darkness that comes. This passage from Isaiah reminds us that there is a God in heaven who knows the land is dark. He knows the people are living, existing, but hoping for something more, hoping for freedom, hoping for life, hoping for a spring that will come and give a sign, give a hope, give some sort of indicator that this darkness will not be the last word on their lives. God knew that in Isaiah's day, and it's why he spoke to them saying, you people who are living in this dark land, a light is dawning. A light is dawning. That message spoken to them so long ago is the message of Christmas even today. It's the message that comes to us when we look to December 25th, the day of celebrating the birth of Jesus of Nazareth there in Bethlehem. It is the light that comes into the world that illuminates even the most shadowy, darkened places, the most dark recesses of our soul and of our lives. It's the light that has the power to illuminate our grief. It has the power to illuminate our depression. It has the power to illuminate our despair. It has the power with a single beam of light to give us hope, to hold on for the day that the darkness will be completely dispelled. That light has dawned. That light is dawning even now, and that light can dawn for you. You know, as a parent, there have been so many times that my son was sick. Nothing life-threatening, but anytime your child is in pain, anytime your child hurts, you want to do everything you can to make them better. And so I know those of you who perhaps are parents can relate to holding a sick child through the night, a feverish child who goes to bed ill and finally falls asleep there in your arms. You hold them, keeping watch through the night, waiting for that first ray of sun to come through the window to let you know that you and he have made it through the night together. And with that dawning of the light that comes on the first rays of the morning, your child begins to stir. There is this thrill of hope that perhaps their fever will have broken, that in the cocoon of sleep, perhaps their body might have experienced the final stages of healing that will bring them back into the fullness of health. Even before you know whether or not they are in fact feeling better, that light brings the thrill of hope that perhaps the outcome has changed. That's how I feel at Christmas. It really is. That's how I feel in my soul about this season that we're in, about the world in which we are dwelling in right now. I see the light dawning on the horizon. And it brings a thrill of hope to my soul. Oh, listen, I know that the darkness lingers. It clings to us. The shadows stretch long. There are so many of you who remain in sickness, in grief, in hurt, in pain. The destruction that has come from the devastating choices you've made to try to cope with those things, I realize that the darkness still clings close. But make no mistake about it, a light has dawned. And it brings a thrill of hope to all who see it, who catch a glimpse of it, even a glimmer of it. And so as you are making your way around this weary world and you see Christmas lights on a house, as you see a tree sparkling in a window, as you look up into the starry sky and see the clouds clearing, know that there is yet life for you. It's in there. It's in there with you. This Christmas season gives us that first bud of the spring. It's not what it's going to be yet. It's not the life that we want in its fullness, but it is the promise. It is the hope that there is, in fact, something more available for you. And friends, there is. There is life beyond whatever you've experienced, whatever pain you have encountered, whatever hardship you have faced, whatever doubts that you have had, whatever sins you have committed. There is always hope. There is always hope. Christmas reminds us of that in profound ways. That God looked into the darkness and He saw us there. His vision was undimmed by the darkness, and He saw us dwelling in it. And He sent His Son to be the ray of hope that brings a thrill to our hearts, that we know there is more. And if we can just hold on, it will be ours. So hold on. Look to the east as the light of Christ is dawning. And let that ray of hope, that ray of light that comes following the darkness and the stillness of night, give you a thrill of hope that you might rejoice in the midst of this weary world.
In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. So I yield to you and to your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. So make me your vessel, and make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. God, I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. Oh, you are breaking new ground. So make me your vessel and make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh, Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh, Jesus, bring new wine out of me. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flame to carry your new fire today. So make me a vessel and make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. God, I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh Jesus, bring new wine out of me.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. To you only, to you only. And all the earth will shout